Sada Shiva Samarambha Shankaracharya Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sahana Vavatu Sahana Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.
That's it. Om Namah Shivaya.
So we'll continue with where we left off, and it is the 8th verse of chapter 3. So please unmute yourself and we can chant. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam
Niyatam Guru Karmatvam
Karma Jayo Hya Karmanaha
Karma Jayo Karmanaha
Sharir Yatra Pichate
Sharirayatra
Na Prasiddhyena Karmanaha.
Prasiddhena Karmanaha.
Okay, so one of the important verses. Let's look at the words. Niyatam Kuru Karma Tvam Karma Jyayaha Hi Akarmanaha. Karma Jyayaha Hi Akarmanaha. Sharir Yatra Api Chate. So Sharir Yatra Api Chate is to be broken into Sharir Yatra Api Te Cha Na Prasiddhyeta. So ta with a halant below. Na Prasiddhyeta Akarmanaha. So that's important. It's not Prasidhyata Karmanaha, it is Prasidhyet Akarmanaha. And the Anvaya we can look at. Tvam Niyatam Karma Kuru. Kama. Tam Niyatam Karma Kuru. Comma. Because Karma hi Akarmanaha Jyayaha. Karma hi Akarmanaha Jyayaha. Comma. Akarmanaha cha te sharir yatra api na prasiddhyet. Full stop. Akarmanaha che te sharir yatra api na prasiddhyet. So tvam, you, who is the you? Krishna is talking to Arjuna. So tvam, hey Arjuna, you niyatam karma kuru. You should do your niyatam karma. So what are those terms? We'll explain. You should do your niyatam karma because karma akarmana hi jyayaha. So jyayaha means superior. Akarmana means not doing any karma. So karma hi, because karma is superior to akarma. Doing action is superior to not doing any action. What is the reason? Akarmanaha cha. Through not doing any action, through akarma, sharir yatra api. Your te sharira, your body, yatra, the journey. Sharir yatra api, the journey of your body. Api, even that, na prasiddhyet. The journey of your body itself will not be possible. Okay, so he says, do action because action is superior to inaction. And due to action, even the journey of your body is not possible. So this body journeys from what to what? From where to where?
Birth to death.
From birth to death, or as we say, from womb to tomb. That is the journey of the body. Even that is not possible. So, if you remember, Krishna had briefly defined Karma Yoga in the second chapter. What were those verses? Do you remember? You should be able to recall immediately. What are the verses, two verses, which talk about Karma Yoga in second chapter?
One is Karmani
Vadikaraste.
Mapaleshu Kadachana.
Yes. Other one?
Yogastha Kuru Karmani.
Yogastha Kuru Karma. Right. So 247th and 48th verse, he had briefly defined. So why I'm going like this is because so that we are able to briefly revise sometimes what we do in the past. This is just briefly saying that yes, we had already discussed Karma Yoga. Krishna discussed it in detail, and again we will discuss. But that was in two verses, so it was basically very brief. And now Krishna is going to elaborately discuss over the next 13 verses, from verse number 8 to verse number 20. And it is because of this particular discussion in these 13 verses that this chapter itself is called Karma Yoga. And therefore, this following portion from now till the 20th verse is the critical portion of the third chapter, because of which the third chapter got the name Karma Yoga. Okay, and therefore it's very important. And remember that Krishna doesn't offer anything new in the Bhagavad Gita. He will say again in the fourth chapter, he will say that every teaching that I am giving you is basically based on this Shruti only, based on Vedic teaching only, based on the Vedas only. So Bhagavad Gita is not offering any new knowledge. It is the old teaching in a modern form. So old wine in new bottles, so as to say. Why? Because compared to the time of the Veda, the time of Veda is when Veda is supposed to be at the very origin of the universe, right? Because Lord Brahmaji is supposed to have handed out the Veda when man first came into being. So human beings first came into being. So Veda is much more ancient than the Gita. Therefore, compared to Veda, Gita is modern, and therefore the Vedic teaching is being given in modern form. And compared to Gita timing, today it is much more modern, and therefore we change certain things. So some of the examples that, for example, Krishna uses, we of course refer to that because it's part of the teaching, but we explain using modern examples. Right? So we might explain using cell phones, so we might explain using TV, and those things were not there in the previous days. And certainly Shankaracharya would not have spoken in English. So we change the languages, we change the examples, we change the technology. It's important to understand that language change, example change, technology change, explanations change, but the content of the teaching belongs to the Veda alone. Okay, so that is what we are now looking at. Veda basically has two portions. One is the initial portion, which we call Purva Veda, which is also called Dharma Shastra, which deals with Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, and the Jnana Kanda or the Vedanta or the Upanishads, which deal with knowledge, which deal with Jnana. Now, if you look at the word Karma Yoga, the word itself has two portions. One is Karma and one is Yoga. So, Karma means proper action, correct action. Yoga means proper attitude. So, we will take each of these sections, the Karma section and the Yoga section. Okay, so there are two sections. We have to study both to understand what is Karma Yoga. Okay, now what is Karma? Proper action, ethical action. What is Yoga? Yoga means proper attitude. So attitude in towards two things. Because we can ask, you are saying proper attitude. Attitude towards what? Answer is that attitude towards the karma itself and attitude towards the consequence of the karma. So karma itself consists of two parts. Remember, whenever we say karma, karma consists of two parts. What is that? One is the karma itself. And the moment you do the karma, karma phalam is inevitable. And therefore, when you say karma, it actually means two things. There are two sides of the coin. If karma is the head of the coin, then karma phalam is the tail. You cannot do karma without getting karma phala. And therefore you cannot pick up a coin without taking both the sides into your hand. So that we must understand. And therefore yoga here is proper attitude towards the karma and proper attitude towards the karma phala, the consequences of the action. Karma, of course, means proper action. Now let us look at what is meant by karma, what is meant by proper action. The Shastram divides action into three varieties: Sattvika karma, Rajasika karma, and Tamasika karma. Okay, so Sattvika karma is the Uttama karma, best action, which is ideal part of karma yoga. Rajasika karma is mediocre, it is secondary, and Tamasika karma is the worst, it is avoidable. And therefore Shastram says that as far as possible, a karma yogi's life should be predominantly sattvic karma only. A karma yogi in his life must predominantly perform sattvic karma. Rajasic karma must be lower, must be less in number, not dominating in the whole picture. And Tamasika karma should be either zero or should be minimum. So having said that, natural question is, what is Sattvika karma, right? What is Sattvika action? So Shastram says that any action in which a higher number of people get benefited is Sattvika karma. Now, higher number of people compared to what? Compared to me or my family. Okay, why you will see as we progress. When you say Sattvika karma, you may be the beneficiary of the karma. You may be or you may not be. That depends on which way you have performed the karma, right? So karma can be a karma in which only other people benefit, in which I don't benefit at all. And for example, let us say that I am building a hospital for others. I have my own doctor, I don't need a hospital. So I'm building a hospital. Only other people benefit. I am not benefited. Okay, so that is Sattvika karma. But any action in which you also benefit and in which other people also benefit, that is also Sattvika karma. Generally, it is said that in Sattvika karma, you can be a beneficiary, your immediate family can be a beneficiary. There is nothing wrong. But the number of people who benefit should be more than that. And the higher the number of people who benefit, the more Sattvika the karma is. Right? Like, for example, take a businessman who makes a profit. So he enjoys the profit, therefore he benefits. But he also, let us say, he is a good businessman. He also shares that wealth with society. Right? So the more he shares, the more Sattvika his karma is. It's not that he doesn't have profits. He enjoys the profits. His family enjoys the profits. But he doesn't keep it all to himself. Some part of it he shares with the rest of society also. So that is Sattvika karma. In fact, those who are familiar with corporate world will know that not very recently, some time back, there is the concept of CSR, corporate social responsibility, that has been incorporated in the Companies Act. So that's every company has to have a CSR committee. So part of the profits of the company have by law to be allocated to social responsibility. So this is what is meant Sattvika karma. Even the law recognizes that you can earn a profit, but because you are operating in society, there is a responsibility towards society also. And what Companies Act has recognized only a few years ago, Veda has said thousands of years ago. So there's nothing wrong. Earn lots of money. You can become a great businessman, earn lots of money, but give money also. Yeah, share that money also, so that your existence has been useful to others. And that itself is Sattvika karma, plus those whom you benefit, they will also bless you. Blessings of others is a great thing to have. And therefore, Sattvika karma is a karma in which beneficiaries are much, much higher. And the rule is, the higher the number of beneficiaries, the more Sattvika the karma is. So that is called Nishkama karma also, selfless activity. Then the second classification is Rajasika karma. So Rajasika karma is karma driven by Rajas. Rajas is predominantly selfish. Therefore, any activity in which the beneficiary is only I or me and my family, right? Only the benefit is shared only by these. And some people are so selfish that even the family is not included, only they benefit, right? So this is Rajasika karma. When I cannot share with my family itself, where is the question of my sharing with the rest of society? So this is Rajasika karma, selfish activity. Now, so this is Madhyama karma. Satvika karma is called Uttama karma, the best karma. Rajasika karma is called Madhyama karma, selfish action. It is secondary karma. Now, if this is so, if Rajasika karma is selfish action, what is the difference between Tamasika karma and Rajasika karma? The difference is that Rajasika karma, the action is selfish, but I am not hurting anybody. Right? A Rajasika karma, a Rajasika karta, he may be very selfish. He may have benefits only for himself or his family, but his actions do not hurt anybody else. While Tamasika karma is harmful karma. For my benefit, I don't care if others are hurt. That is Tamasika karma, right? So it can be as simple a thing as your neighbor playing the TV very loudly at night, or putting on his music system very loudly at night, not caring whether others are disturbed or not. So it is harmful karma because he is hurting you. He is enjoying himself, no doubt, but he is hurting you. So that is a very simple example of Tamasika karma. And of course, you can make it extend to business also, where businessmen don't care about ethics. They mix and adulterate food stuff and they make profits, but they injure others in the process. So this is the difference. Satvika karma is Uttama karma, where a lot of people are benefited, nobody is hurt. Rajasika karma is Madhyama karma, where nobody else is benefited, but nobody else is hurt also. And Tamasika karma is karma where nobody else is benefited, but somebody is hurt also. And therefore Shastra says that a karma yogi's life should be such that there is a abundance of sattvic karma. And we should reduce Rajasic karma and we should have minimum amount of Tamasika karma. Remember here, you can do any amount of sakama karma, okay, karma with desires. We have to clearly understand that we should not get mixed up. Sakama karma is all right. Sakama karma is what? Karma for yourself, for the selfish karma. But Shastra says that your life should also have nishkama satvika karma. Okay. Now, what is this satvika karma? Is there any particular, prescription that Shastra gives, which says that you should do this? Yes. Shastra gives what is known as Panca Maha Yagnya, the 5 big Yagnyas. And the Shastra says this falls under Satvika karma. And they're Uttama karma. Why? Why are Satvika karma called Uttama karma? Because spiritual progress is produced very quickly. Chitta Shuddhi is produced very quickly. In Rajasam karma, the progress is slow, or you may be not having any progress at all. You may be stale. You may be just at one point only. There is no progress and no downfall also. So Rajasam karma is that. In Tamasam karma, there is not only no progress, there is also spiritual downfall. So these are the various effects. Satvika karma is karma which benefits a lot of people and which gives you spiritual progress very fast. Rajasam karma, the progress is either very slow or not there at all, and it benefits only you or your immediate family. Tamasa karma, it hurts others. You may be benefited. Of course, you will be benefited, but it hurts others. And because of that, there is no progress, no spiritual progress, only a spiritual downfall. Okay. Now, what are these Panca Mahayagnyas? So, Shastra says there are 5 main types of actions which are called Yagnyas, because basically they are a worship to the Lord. And according to Shastra, they are all 5 are compulsory, and they are according to your capacity. So that according to your capacity is very important. Shastra does not say that what the extent of the Panchamaha Yagnya should be. It says according to your capacity only. The principle is that the one who gives should not give so much that ultimately he becomes a receiver. So that's a basic principle in all charitable activity, that you should give according to your capacity only. Don't give so much that you have to beg later. Shastra recognizes that principle, and therefore it talks about the 5 Mahayagnyas. Okay, I'll stop here for a minute in case there are any questions, and then we will talk about 5 Mahayagnyas. So you can unmute yourself.
Om Acharya.
Yeah.
So the result of these yagnas, you said, is it for this life, for the spiritual growth, or the coming
Chitta Shuddhi.
lives?
Basically, Chitta Shuddhi.
Okay.
Yagnyas are karma. Karma can give only Chitta Shuddhi. Yes, Deepa.
Yeah, Acharya ji, tell me one thing कि अगर ये आप बोल रहे हैं कि इतना मत दो कि आपको beg करना पड़े, तो it includes emotions also?
Well, there is a basic principle of the Shastram which says that, if you do not have happiness, how can you give? So in fact, you look at all these, if you look at any person who's, for example, just about to get married, young couple is about to get married. You ask the boy, Ki bhai, why are you getting married? So he'll say, I want to be happy. You ask the girl, what is the answer? What is the answer from the girl?
Same.
I want to be happy. So what have you said? I have no happiness and I want to be happy, but I'm trying to get the happiness from somebody else who has no happiness either. So दो भिखारी हैं, एक दूसरे से भीख मांग रहे हैं. 2 beggars begging from each other. How can that be a relationship? You cannot give what you don't have. And therefore, if you want to be emotionally satisfying to somebody else, make sure you are emotionally independent.
Yes, but beyond a certain point, I mean, like you can give as much as you can, and then it will break you. So It means attachment with the detachment.
So I won't put in all those words. I'll simply say, learn to be self-sufficient. Learn to be happy by yourself. Yes, Anjali.
Om Acharya. So the 3 karmas that you mentioned right now, Rajasik, Sattvic and Tamasic, are we talking about the Drisht karma or the Adrisht karma? Because when we say the Tamasic karma, saying, for example, playing loud music at night, disturbing others, so that is Drisht karma, disturbing others.
It has both components in it, isn't it? Because when I play loud music, don't I know the other people get disturbed?
Yeah, but for example,
intention is also there, Drishta is also there, Adrishta is also there. Karma basically here has to be taken as both.
But their intention is not to disturb the others. They are just not.
You cannot say that I don't know that my loud music will disturb others. That is trying to hide behind some, species argument. You should know that if I don't like other people disturbing me in the night, I also should not be disturbing others. Basic value of values. Understand the value of every value.
Om Acharya ji.
Yes, please.
When we say that in Sattvic action, a higher number of people are going to benefit. So when there are certain Mahatmas who go to the forests or Himalayas for contemplation or for spiritual becoming more spiritual, or the Gyanis or Jivan Muktas who decide to isolate themselves, what kind of karma does that fall into?
That is a quest for knowledge. It doesn't really fall into karma. So that those people we exclude from the discussion. We are talking about seekers, grahasthas, who are looking at karma as an activity. If I go to a mountain and sit quiet, I'm not benefiting anybody. That's correct. But once I get jnanam, will I benefit people or not?
Yes, that is what. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So essentially, it is that spiritual, along with performing the nishkam karma with the right intention. One should also continue.
You cannot perform
should-
nishkama karma with the wrong intention. It's not possible.
Yes, performing nishkam karma.
Yeah.
In that, if we want to give ourselves, we want to learn more of Shastra and try to become a Jnani, so that can also benefit. So that will also be taken as a sattvic karma only.
But remember, the process of getting jnanam is not for others.
No, it
It
is
is
for
the very
self.
purpose of your life. The purpose of birth, human birth, is to get moksha.
And that becomes the primary
It becomes the primary
responsibility,
directive for
duty.
you. Yes, primary
So,
duty for you.
So the term duty and nishkam karma, or what is the difference between the two?
Nishkama karma is when you are a grahastha and you are doing activity to benefit others.
Okay.
Here you are doing a primary duty to yourself, which is to get moksha. It doesn't mean that a person on the path of moksha cannot do nishkama karma. Okay, there is nothing which says that you have to go to the Himalayas and isolate yourself. There's King Janaka who was a king and he got moksha. So whether you go to the Himalayas or whether you are a grahastha depends upon your prarabdha. Yes, Amit.
Yes. See, nowadays, in the time of social media, WhatsApp, everybody who does something, they put it in WhatsApp. I think that nishkam karma becomes now non-nishkam. Because if you want to get publicity and to show off that I have done such a thing, so the value.
I don't know. How is that nishkama karma? I don't understand. It's just publicizing yourself.
Yeah, so that is not nishkam. So WhatsApp really has harmed in that way.
Not necessarily. Without WhatsApp, how would you have these classes? Every instrument can be misused.
Yeah.
Yes, Amit bhai. Mr. Tiwari.
Om Acharya ji.
Haji.
Acharya ji, my question is that we are talking about sattvic karma, which give benefits to people. So, like if we are paying taxes, income taxes, and other taxes, so indirectly it's benefiting others. So does it come under sattvic karma or no?
That is a mandatory duty, right? You don't have the option to pay, not to pay. So it's a citizen's duty which you are doing.
Okay.
So don't get into these kind of confusing things. What am I doing out of my own free will? And whether I can do things to benefit others. Because if I say taxes benefit others, you're doing nishkama karma, then that's very satisfying, right? I don't have to do anything else. That you don't do. Okay, so when we actually come to the definition of Panca Maha Yagnya, you will see where it works. Okay, so we'll carry on with that. Okay, Devdeep, your question, please.
Yes, Om Raviji. So the tendency to be inert or inactive, or maybe not do anything. So is that also considered to be a tamasic tendency?
Really speaking, there is no way you can not do anything. But Krishna says in this chapter itself that there is no way that a human being can remain without doing karma. Because the moment, even when you're sleeping, you are doing some karma, what? Breathing. When you get up, you're brushing your teeth, that is karma. You cannot remain without doing karma. It is futile to think that I will not do karma.
Okay.
Yes, Tarka.
Om Raviji, I had a interesting situation to analyze based on this category of karma. What happened in my sister's neighborhood, they started playing Hanuman Chalisa twice in a day on loudspeaker because the other ones were playing Azan 5 times on loudspeaker. So the neighborhood is noisy now 7 times instead of 5 times. But my sister reported that now her kid have Hanuman Chalisa by heart. So is that under which category this karma will fall under?
What is the intention?
I really do not understand, but maybe just to compete,
Basically is a sign of intolerance. What you should have done is gone to the people and said, can you lower your sound? Which doesn't happen, of course, but still. Anyway. All right, so let's carry on. Now we come to the 5 Mahayagnyas. So I'm just muting you all so that, and I'll unmute you again when it's time to ask questions. Okay. So we said there are 5 major Mahayagnyas. The first one is called Deva Yagnya. Deva Yagnya literally means worship of the Lord, the worship of Ishvara. So Shastra says that everybody's, we are talking about Vaidikas, okay? We are talking about people who believe in the Veda. There are a lot of people who don't believe in rituals and all that. They think it's all rubbish. It's not applicable to them. So Veda says that you should have Deva Yagnya in your life, which is a major Mahayagnya. That's why it's called Mahayagnya, the great Yagnya. So your life should have a certain amount of dharmic activity in it, religious activity in it, recognizing that Ishvara is there in your life. So however busy you are, whether you are, the Prime Minister or whether you are the most busy person in this world, a little portion of your day must necessarily be allocated for worshipping the Lord. Okay, now what type of worship you do, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter whether you're doing a full-fledged yagnya. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a 2-minute puja in the morning. It doesn't matter if you're just sitting down and closing your eyes and praying. But prayer is a must. So the exact nature of what you do, that will vary depending upon your background, whether you are grahastha or student or sannyasi or vanaprastha, depending upon your parentage, did your people to teach you, depending upon you yourself, have you learned Vedic rituals? Some person might do Agnihotram, some person might do Sandhya Vandanam, because they have been taught. Some people, majority of people will go to temple. Some people may just chant Rama Rama or Krishna Krishna, right? But whatever it is, there has to be some exclusive time allocated for you. Because then only I am showing that for me, Ishvara is important. I have respect for Deva Yagnya, right? For him, and there should be no other activity during that time. And there are a lot of people who say, no, I do that, and after all, I can pray anytime, right? The point is, that sort of arguments are given by people who don't really understand what is meant by focusing, what is meant by respect. So I'll give you an example. Supposing your a friend has come to your house, a very close friend has come to your house, and he has come at the time when it's time for you to clean your house. How will you talk to him? Will you be cleaning or doing a jhadu pota and talking to him?
No.
Is it okay to do jhadu pota and talk to him? Because I am talking to you anyway, right? Doesn't matter what I am doing. That is the argument. What does it indicate when you're doing that? It indicates
You are
that,
not paying attention to him.
that I have no respect for you.
Respect.
That you don't matter in my life. And that is exactly what is the answer when somebody says that it is okay to pray while I'm doing something else. So this exclusive, it doesn't mean, again, we have to be very clear. It doesn't mean that you cannot pray, do something else and pray. But the exclusive time that you allocate for prayer, that must be there. Later on, you can be in the bus, you can pray, you can be in, walking along, taking a walk and you can pray. That's all very fine. But this exclusive time is necessary for Deva Yagna. Therefore, similarly, you should give exclusive time for your particular japa or your particular puja in the morning. And then later on, if while driving to office or going in the bus to office or taking the train to office, you are chanting japa, it is all right. These are all additions. But they can never replace the exclusive allocation of time for Deva Yagna. You can call it prayer, you can call it worship, you can call it anything. It can be simply closing your eyes and giving your thanks, recognizing that he's there in your life. Or it can be just chanting a mantra. Or preferably, for example, you do a parayanam, like because you're Gita students, you decide that every morning I'll spend 15 minutes and I will chant one chapter of the Gita. That you can do. It's a very beautiful thing to do. Just keep the book in front of you and chant one chapter, loudly, mentally, whatever. Ideally, verbally, because the chant itself will, the chanting of the Gita itself will purify the house. So if you can put that, is enough. 15 minutes in the morning. And you don't have to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, disturb everybody else. You do it at 7:38 after everybody had tea, and then tell them that, okay, this is my time for prayer. You do whatever you want. You don't force them. You will find that people will come, especially children. When they see day after day, when they see that you are doing your prayers, you're doing your chanting, they will come. And the advantage is that listening to that chant day in and day out, a couple of years, a couple of months, 2 years, whatever, or depending upon how attentive they will at least have memorized the entire Gita, or at least they will be familiar with the portions. And therefore, this exclusive Deva Yagnya can never be replaced. It has to be done. Every Vaidika has to allocate that very, very carefully, one part of the day, and religiously follow it. It cannot be that I'll do it on some days and not do it on other days. In fact, even while traveling, mentally you should be able to do at least a small prayer. If nothing, at least 3 Oms. Okay, that's Deva Yagnya. Then Pitra Yagnya. The Pitras means the forefathers. Pitra is not just the father, it's forefathers. So Pitra Yagnya is the worship of the forefathers, which all our scriptures consider very important, right? And that is why you have these days which are there in our scriptures, where there's a worship, there's a remembrance of the forefather, and you give that the offering on that day wherever you are, in the temple some people go to the river itself and give. Very important. This is recognized in all traditions, okay, like your Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc. So any type of worship according to your family tradition. So we have in our tradition, we have Shraddha, we have Tarpana, all these things are there. They are important. The idea is that you should remember Pitra Yagnya, your forefathers, because without your forefathers, your parents would not have been there. Without your parents, you would not have been there. You would not have had the opportunity to study the Gita today. So that is Pitra Yagnya, very, very important as a measure of acceptance of the fact that everybody is there, who was there in my tradition, is responsible for my being here today. And not only that, it is mandatory. According to the Veda, this is one of the 5 Yagnyas that is mandatory for you. The first one is what? What is the first one? Deva Yagnya. Then second one, Pitra Yagnya. Then there is a third one called Rishi Yagnya. Or you can also call it Brahma Yagnya. So Brahma Yagnya is the more popular name. So Brahma Yagnya, here Brahman is basically the scripture itself. So therefore, worship of your scriptures. And it's very important to worship the scriptures. Because of this Yagnya alone, our culture is so glorious. So, and therefore, every Vaidika has a duty to preserve and propagate the Shastra, either directly or indirectly. So you can have indirect preservation by way of daily Parayanam, daily chanting of the Sahasranama or the Bhagavad Geeta or the Upanishad. You can have allocating some time for the study of the scriptures. So Parayanam you can have, and Abhyasa you can have. You have to study of scriptures. If nothing else, you can just read the Bhagavatam, right? So you have these all these traditions, whether kathas, there are Bhagavatam weeks. Read the Ramayanam from beginning to end. In the south, they have this particular period where the entire Ramayanam is chanted. And therefore, every part of this country recognizes that study of the scriptures is an important fact. In fact, what you do every Sunday from 8 to 9 is nothing else but Brahma Yagnya only. So at least you can be happy that if you're doing nothing else, at least Brahma Yagnya is being done by all of you all every week. Then the fourth one is Manushya Yagnya. So Manushya Yagnya, as the name implies, it implies all types of social service, like feeding the poor, building orphanages, building hospitals, building old age homes. So the Panchamagnya Yagnya is, remember, it is not part of the Smriti, it's not part of the secondary scriptures, it is part of the main Veda itself. And therefore, this is very important. And Manushya Yagnya, supposing you don't have the money to build a hospital, what can you do? At least you can go and spend some time with the terminally sick people. You can go to the old age homes. You can spend some time sitting with them because they don't have anybody to talk to. You can go to orphanages. You can offer to teach the children. So many things you can do by way of Manushya Yagnya. Unless we recognize that these are all very important, we will not allocate the time. And that's why Veda says this is mandatory. So if you don't do it, one very good thing to do is neighboring orphanage, offer to teach. Neighboring, terminally ill people, offer to be with them for some time. Old age homes, offer to be with them sometime. So many things we can do. It requires no money, it requires only time. right? That is the Panchama Yagna's fourth Yagnya, Manushya Yagnya. And, there is so much of this done by other organizations, like you see missionaries doing good work and all that. But that is because we have forgotten what to do. It is not that it has not been mandated. The Veda mandates doing all this work, but we have forgotten. And therefore, we see the church, people from the church doing good work, and we admire. And we say Hindus don't do. It is not that Hinduism doesn't prescribe. Hinduism is not known. What it prescribes is not known, and therefore it is not done. We have all forgotten. And the last one is Bhuta Yagna. So Bhuta here doesn't mean ghost. Okay, Bhuta here means any Bhuta, so any living being other than Manushyas. Why? Because Manushyas have already been talked about. Generally, when you say Bhuta, it means something bhuhu, something which has existed, something which is existing. And therefore, here, since Manushyas have already been talked about, we are talking about all types of other living beings. So all animals should be respected, birds should be respected, any living being, any jiva should be respected. And that is why you will find that different deities in our culture, they have different animals as their, vahanas, as their what you call instrument for movement. You have Garuda as a vahana for somebody. You have the bull as a vahana for Lord Shiva, and so on. The idea is that when you see the association of that animal with the Lord, you will develop a respect for that. You will develop a respect for life. Like the cow is associated with Lord Krishna, right? So that is why cows are so revered in India. So then reverence for life. So generally, you should be able to understand that anything living is an object of reverence. Because of compulsions, you may be forced to cut a tree. I mean, you need firewood, or you need you need the wood for your house. You may be forced to cut a tree. But can we not, replace the tree? For every tree we cut, can we not plant 2 trees? We can. So these are the various types of ways in which we look at Yagnya. Remember, none of these 5 Yagnyas are optional. They are all compulsory, and yoga and Veda says they are Rajasika Karma. So once a person leads such a life, you will find that he always gives more to society than he takes from society. His balance sheet is always in the plus. Such a person will no longer be a burden to the society. He is a blessing to the society. This is the first aspect of karma. What is that? Proper action. The second aspect is proper attitude. Before that, we'll stop for some time if you want to discuss anything. Okay. Yes, Pandana.
Raviji, I had 2 questions about Pitru Yagnya.
Yeah.
One was, can you also take Pitru Yagnya to mean worship of your spiritual forefathers, like the lineage?
No, that is Guru Parampara, that is different. So that is not covered here. Here it is exactly your real, your absolute physical lineage, grandfather, great-grandfather, forefather, all those things.
Right. This I find with difficulty having Shraddha on because, okay, to your father, grandfather, I can understand.
Shraddha is because without them, you would not be there, you would not be learning the scriptures. It is a gratitude. So because of them, I, the Jivatma, am today given an opportunity to study Veda and to get moksha.
I see.
That's the only reason. And
but
of
if
course,
you believe you're born because of karma.
Yes. But the environment which you got, is that part of what they have given you? See, I understand your argument. You can always say that, was it my prarabdha to learn Veda in this life? Wherever I was born, I would have learned. Fair enough. But in that, is there a part of your parentage involved? And therefore, Shastra says yes. Therefore, we should be grateful to them. Therefore, we should do this worship.
So I can still have a sankalpa saying while worshipping the forefathers, that I'm still worshipping that power behind,
What is that power?
Brahma. Just like we do a sankalpa when we're worshipping Lord Ganesha, for example, I'm saying I'm still worshipping the universal Brahman, right? So,
well, I mean, if you are comfortable with the idea of Brahman is universal, then why cannot you see Brahman in your parents or your grandparents? See, the ultimate concept is that you should be able to worship anything, even a stone, because such principle is there. A stone doesn't have the Sukshma Shariram, therefore Chit is not seen. But Sat and Chit are both there. And that stone also is Brahman. Which is why you see people worshipping trees. Which is why you see people worshipping rivers. Which is why you see people worshipping cows. The ultimate vision is brought out in all these rituals. That's Sarvam Brahman.
right.
That is the vision which we are looking at. That anything which you see is not separate from Brahman. And forefathers and all are prescribed because the thinking is that it is easier to worship your forefathers than to worship your neighbor.
I see.
Oh,
Okay.
Om sir.
Yes, Lata.
Sir, I have a
Acharya. Okay, so the question I had, Ravi ji, was ideally, I know we all have to do all these yagnyas, but is there anything which will tell us in terms of the frequency or what exact time we should do this, what we should not do at this time?
There are
Do we
dates for
have anything?
Tarpana, no? Tarpana and all that. There are dates which are given, isn't it? You're aware, right? There's something called a Panchang. A Panchang gives you
Yes,
dates
yes.
for this worship of your ancestors. So do it on that date. I mean, I'm not saying you have to go to the Ganga and do it. All I'm saying is spend half an hour a day remembering your ancestors and thanking them. That is sufficient.
Mm,
I mean, a lot of people have very elaborate rituals. But that's not necessary, really. I mean, if you can do it, nothing like it.
okay.
Om Acharya ji.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, Ashwin, Bali.
I think the last point was still being concluded by the lady.
Yeah. Well,
So, Acharya ji, I wanted to ask, as you said, all these 5 are compulsory and they are applicable to Vedikas and they are compulsory according to capacity. I just wanted to know if how do we perform Pitra Yagnya each day, because we only do it on the allocated days of Shraddha.
you can do it on Shraddha Day. You can simply have your father or mother or forefathers photograph in your puja room, and therefore when you do puja, you're automatically doing there also. That you do that, with the waving of the lamp, right? So when you wave around each person, that is the worship. You wave around your father, your mother, I mean, assuming that they are not there. Okay, if they are there, you should not do that. Or grandfather, or great grandfather, and that's the worship. All that is required is that mental expression, that sankalpa should be there. That yes, you are important in my life.
Okay, thank you.
Om sir.
Yes, Mahmood.
Sir, this during the Shraddh period, this 1 month period, in my house, we have very elaborate rituals.
Yeah.
Of this Tarpanam, and the prasad is made, and there's a Pandit who comes. So there's a very, very elaborate thing for all the ancestors, like the ones who I have not even seen, like in my life.
Yeah.
But the thing is, sir, it is all told, like my brother is the one who's going to be doing all the rituals, and my brother's wife. But me being the daughter, I'm just there. I'm just present. My presence is there, and I can of course enjoy the prasad. But me being the daughter, I'm not ever designated to do any of these rituals.
No, it is not the physical action which is relevant, Manmohan. You can simply pray with them. That prayer is your mental action. That itself is a karma, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing that in such an elaborate way, then you're fulfilling that anyway. Just sitting there for the ritual and mentally remembering your forefathers and being grateful to them. That is all that is required.
Yeah, but so what happens is, because I don't live with my parents, I live in a different city. So then what happens is that when I ask my mom, she says that you are the daughter, you don't have to do anything. Your brother is doing it here. So
No,
then
that is not correct. It is you can't appoint a proxy. From the point of view of your family, okay, I mean, that is being taken care of. But from your point of view, you should at least on that day or that period do it at home also. I mean, do it in the sense you don't need to do anything excepting sit for 15 minutes. That's
Sorry?
all. Sit for 15 minutes and pray.
Okay. Okay.
That's all. And remember your forefathers. That's all that's required.
Okay. Like just a mental prayer.
A mental prayer, a sankalpa saying that yes, I am acknowledge that you're very important in my life, and I wish you all, you know the thing, right? We have the belief that they will travel from place to place. Tell them, wish them a good next life, all those things which you can think of.
Om Acharya ji.
Om sir.
I think let Ashwin's hand has been raised. So
Yes.
Ashwin, yeah.
Is there anything where we pray for those people who bring a lot of friction into our lives?
You want to pray for them? But
Yes.
you should be praying for yourself actually. Is it not? You should be asking for tolerance so that you don't react.
Yes, Acharya, but beyond that, those who bring friction into your lives also bless you with the fact that that friction is actually ultimately going to, set you on a course to, or evolve spiritually. So when the action of blessing those who bring that itself.
No, I think the understanding you have to have is that that friction in your life is part of your prarabdha. Okay. Now, whether this person had been there or not, it's very important to get the understanding of prarabdha right. It is not because of the other person that you're having the friction. It is because it is your prarabdha to have friction. The other person is only an instrument. Had he not been there, somebody else would have been there. So if you want to thank the other person, it is fine. But it is not because of him that you got the chance to improve your spiritual progress. It is because of your own prarabdha.
Right.
The other person is only an instrument. Krishna says it very clearly in the 11th chapter that be the instrument. Everything is done by me alone. You be the instrument. So what is the prarabdha karma is what is causing everything. Other people in your lives are the instruments through which that pain or pleasure is delivered to you. And therefore, nothing wrong in thanking them. It's an act of great grace, actually. If you can say that, okay, fine, thank you for having, messed up my happiness. How many people can do that?
Thank you, Acharya.
Okay. And who else? Any other questions? There was somebody else, actually.
Om Acharya ji,
Yes,
is there any thing that says that, we say that second generation of forefathers, seventh generation of forefathers. So when we are praying or doing the Pitra Yagna, so how many do we actually remember?
See, normally what is said is that there are 7 generations involved in every ritual. And it is not like you think 7 generations of forefathers. It is 3 generations before you and 3 generations after you. Okay. So every action that you do, all the rituals are said to benefit 7 generations. One is you, one is 3 generations before you, and one is 3 generations after you. That's the correct understanding.
But when we are doing a prayer of gratitude for the Pitras for being there, so
you are doing the 3 generations before you, and the benefit will accrue to not only those 3 generations, but to you and 3 generations after you. That is why we call it 7 generations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So with this, we'll stop for the day. We haven't actually... Yes, Arunaji, you wanted to say something?
Did some Acharya.
Okay. So then with this, we'll stop.
Acharya.
Yes,
So
Indaraji,
you mean to say benefit the next generations of what we do?
The punyam which you gather will flow in the form of benefits for the next generation also, because they are your people. So the way you behave, the way you do these things, they will be seen by your children, and then the children's children and the great grandchildren. That's what is meant. That all these actions basically influence the next generation also, and that is why you should be dharmic.
Okay, so you mean to say it's not the carry forward to the next janma, but they learn and
Your
then
punyam cannot benefit anybody but yourself. Okay, it's not like you can will a punyam balance to somebody else. Your punyam carries with you because you are jiva. Whatever punyam you have exhausted in this birth is fine. It's not exhausted in this birth. That is carried with you to the next generation. So punyam and papam experienced only by you. But your actions as a parent, grandparent, that has influence. That's why it said 7 generations. In fact, one of the Upanishads, Lord Yama says very clearly, the 7 generations shall be destroyed if something is not done. That way.
So it's for next generation, it's the learning for them.
It's the learning process.
Which will give them punyam.
Yeah. How to do these things. Vaidika tradition is being carried on. That is what is being meant.
Okay. Thank you.
Om Acharya ji.
Yes, Reshma.
Acharya ji, nowadays this new generation does not believe in the God. So is it okay they are doing only Manusha Yagna, I mean social services, because that is what they believe in?
Who am I to give an exception from the Veda? You can't ask me to give an exception from the Veda. No, it's not. If you are a Vaidika, you have to follow. If you're not a Vaidika, it doesn't matter what you do because you're not believing anyway. The point is you can't force your children. Okay.
Right.
And if your children have not got faith, it's possibly because throughout our lives we didn't do anything which inspired that faith. Why do most of us have faith? Because our parents did that. From day one, we saw them praying. We saw them go to temples. But we haven't done that. We are actually a cross between the two. And because of that, our children have never seen us go to the temple, have never seen us pray except when there's trouble. And therefore, they don't know.
Okay.
So the fault lies with us. But I think your view is overly pessimistic because I know plenty of young people.
Yeah, though I do daily prayer, and when I ring the bell, they say, why you want to ring so much of the bell? God is awake, even we are awake. So that
Yes.
type of answers we get. So
That's a rebellious spirit. Believe me, when at some point of their life, when they have trouble, they'll be very grateful for this fact that you used to be there to show all this, and then they will come back automatically.
okay.
You can ask people who got elder people who got children who are now grown up. Those who are very rebellious in their young stage, they become big devotees when they reach middle age. The approach of Lord Yama is a great motivator.
Okay. Thank you, Acharya ji.
Okay, so with this we'll stop. We haven't actually completed the verse, so we will just one verse. With entire half the verse only has been completed because we have done only the proper action part. We still have to the proper attitude part, which we'll take up in the next class. So with this we'll stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir. Very
Thank you, Acharya.
interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.